Code 793, which deals with the gathering, transmitting, or mishandling of defense information. That specific statute doesn't just cover classified information. Rather, it criminalizes the unlawful retention of any information related to the national defense. Joining me now is Congressman Eric Swalwell of California, a member of the House Intelligence, Judiciary, and Homeland Security Committees. And Congressman, all of this begs the question that, in your oversight responsibilities on the Intelligence Committee of the House, where do you even begin to deal with the potential national security implications of 18 months of classified documents laying around in Donald Trump's bedroom in Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, Joy, did he copy them in any way? Did anyone else have access to them and digitally copy them and upload them or send them or share them? The guy clearly loves foreign nationals. He's been, hosting a golf tournament with foreign nationals. So there's so much exposure and vulnerability here around these secrets. And your viewers should know, when we say national defense information, we are talking about information that protects our troops. That's why we don't want him to have it at an unsecured beach house. So yes, we need to do a battlefield damage assessment to understand just where these documents were. But it shows in that affidavit over and over and over, they asked him, they showed deference to him, that he wasn't even worthy of being shown to give them back, and he didn't. He gave some back, held on to others, which again I think shows his guilt, because if he truly declassified them, why would he even have given some back? It shows that he was trying to deceive them. And Joy, do you think that a man who leveraged $300+ million of taxpayer money to get dirt on Joe Biden with the Ukrainians wouldn't try and use classified documents to help himself if he ever found himself in a pinch?
That is the challenge. And the other thing that I cannot get out of my mind today, Congressman, and we've had you on a lot to talk about January 6th and the investigation into January 6th. It would be one thing for a president who's just too much of a jerk and a baby to admit that he lost an election, to throw the Proud Boys and other insurrectionists violently at the Capitol, to potentially kill members of Congress like yourself and members of the United States Senate. It's a whole nother level for somebody who's also holding on to top secret classified information at his house and refusing to give it back. Do you think that these facts that we now know about what Trump was doing in any way change or make much worse what we're learning about January 6th?
Yes, it means that we should always assume the worst with this guy. He showed that with the deal he tried to cut with Zelensky, trading U.S. taxpayer dollars, military aid for dirt on Biden. It shows with how he incited and aimed the mob at January 6th on the Capitol. And it shows with, why he would want to keep these documents. The guy never showed an interest any day of any week of taking an intelligence briefing. So now he's going to take these documents to Mar-a-Lago? No. This is a guy who saw their value as something that could benefit him. And Joy, as we think about 80 days from now, we're going into the midterm elections. This election is now being framed that Republicans have shown themselves in the way they're defending Donald Trump for keeping top secret documents that protect our troops. If they are given the majority, they will fight every day in Congress to protect Donald Trump. And Democrats are showing responsibly, if we keep the majority, we will spend every day in Congress fighting for everyday people. And so that's the frame now that they've given us by showing their true colors.
It is quite a time to be alive. Congressman Eric Swalwell, thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate you being here. Let me bring back in former CIA Director John Brennan and former federal prosecutor Renato Mariotti. And I want to ask you the same version of the same question, Director Brennan. What does it, to me, it says something materially different. It was bad enough that we had the January 6th insurrection in which the President of the United States attempted to overthrow the government using a violent mob basically as his battering ram against Congress. It's quite another thing when we find out that that same person has been retaining national security information in his private custody at his house and refusing to give it back. And that even when he gave some of it back, he still kept things and retained things to the point where he had to have his place searched by the FBI. Does it give you that same even worse pit in the stomach feeling as an intelligence professional?
Well, it does, Joy, and it just underscores that Donald Trump never should have been entrusted with the office of the presidency, and certainly never should be in the future again. His arrogance and his feelings that he's above the law has been reckless, irresponsible, and has blatantly disregarded the responsibilities of that office. And so I think we saw on January 6th the culmination of his presidency, which was to just do things that were going to benefit him personally. And that's why he rallied those individuals at the Capitol. And so I still shake my head when I see these individuals, including elected officials of the Republican Party, making excuses and apologies for, or excuses for Donald Trump. He should be roundly denounced and condemned for his actions that really has put this country at great risk. And we still don't know what type of disclosures might have taken place at Mar-a-Lago in terms of the intelligence material that was there. And that's what the national security community is doing right now, trying to understand what has been the extent of the damage that has been done as a result of his recklessness.
I mean, if you think about it, this is somebody who knew he lost an election, refused to accept it, attempted to remain in office illegally, but still managed to secret away national security information. For what purpose? I think we have to know for what purpose. It's something we must find out. Renato Mariotti, I want to play you. Speaking of people making ridiculous defenses of Donald Trump, here is a former clerk to Justice Gorsuch. This does not surprise me that that's who he worked for, claiming essentially that Trump has the authority to declassify whatever the hell he wants.
The president has the absolute constitutional authority to declassify anything he wants for any reason he wants, and he doesn't have to get permission from any bureaucrat at the National Archives to do that. It is legally impossible for a former president to obstruct investigations into non-crimes. The Justice Department did not have the power to even look at these crimes because it doesn't matter what the evidence shows in this affidavit, David. No matter what that evidence shows, as a matter of law, it is legally impossible for President Trump to have committed espionage or to have violated some Presidential Records Act.
Renato, when President Nixon said it, he did it more succinctly. If the president does it, it is not a crime. Your thoughts?
Wow. Well, I would say, as to the first point he made regarding the classification, it really is almost irrelevant here. And you summarized some of those points a moment ago, Joy. First of all, Trump is no longer the president of the United States. And so anything that he did after he was president does not matter. All the superpowers that they want to ascribe to him ended in January 20th. And when he was no longer president of the United States. But more importantly, you had mentioned that letter a moment ago, Joy, where they talk about the supposed superpowers that Donald Trump had. And if you notice, his lawyers didn't say that there was a standing order. They didn't say that he had declassified those documents. And I'll just tell you, as a defense attorney, if I had those arguments in my back pocket, I'd use them. Of course, I would use those arguments. I would make those points of government. The reason he didn't make those points is that's not even something they have evidence to suggest is true. I think that they realize, I think everyone knows that didn't really happen. And so they're left with saying, sure, he had the power to do this, but he didn't actually do it. I don't think they have any evidence that he did it. So I really think it's really beside the point. And as you mentioned, really these statutes nothing actually turns on classification, which I think is a smart move by the Justice Department to focus on the statutes that really don't require classification at all. So yeah. I really just think most of what he's saying is beside the point.
Yeah, not surprisingly. A really quick rapid fire to you, Director Brennan. If I took documents and then was told, give them back, they're classified, and I kept some, what would you think of me as you being an intelligence professional? What would you think?
I would think that the FBI would be knocking on your door or with a search warrant the following day to retrieve those documents, because one of the things the government wanted to do was to take those documents away so that they could be appropriately stored and protected. But if you were to do something like that, Joy, I'd expect you to be put in handcuffs and charged with crimes. And I do believe that there are going to be multiple charges that are going to result from what we have now seen happening at Mar-a-Lago.
And you can better believe I would be under the jail, and it wouldn't have taken 18 months. Director John Brennan, Renato Mariotti.